Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. Today we're going to discuss the Head Radical MP1820. You have alerted me over comments on tennisnerd.net, Instagram messages, and so on about this model, and I got to try it actually quite a while ago as a little bit of a demo or a sample, and really like this frame. Obviously, with the 1820, you're going to get a bit more directional control, but I wouldn't say it's completely dead of spin. Like, it still will give you decent spin. The Radical MP, as you might know, is one of my favorite rackets from Head. I used this for tournament play for quite a while, could do it still today. Obviously, you get lost in the racket jungle from time to time. This one will give you a bit more directional control, a little bit more confidence on shots, but also a bit less depth. So it's a more demanding frame. I think it benefits from some weight, because with these 1820 control rackets, even if this has a bit of a thicker beam, you need a bit of weight, a bit of mass, a bit of swing weight to give the racket some extra power. So that's my thing here. So if you find that the Radical MP 1619, the standard MP, has a little bit of a high trajectory, a bit more launch angle, a bit too much power for you, you find yourself just hitting tad long, maybe the 1820 could be the way to go. This is what the racket brands do. Sometimes they offer a certain model for a specific audience, specific retailer market. We talked about that on the Head podcast about the Extreme rackets, that the Extreme Heavy MP that used to be the old Pro, and that's still available for the Italian market because of Berrettini, and that was a beloved model in Italy, but for the other markets it's not available. And you will see that over and over again. You will see lighter rackets on the Asian market because they like lighter rackets, and etc. Right? Some models might not make it to the US, some models might not make it to Europe. This would happen, and in this case you can't find this one at Tennis Warehouse, but you can find it, I think, at Tennis Point.
So the Radical, how does it compare to other 1820 rackets? That's gonna be on some of you tennis nerds' minds. I would say it's a little bit of a crisper response. What is crisp? It's a little bit stiff, firm. It's hard to describe. It's like if you play with rackets, you feel it. Some polys create that, some rackets have it. Stiff in a good way sensation than playing with a blade, which has a nice, more slightly flexible, at least the latest version 9. So there's not like a lot of dampening going on in the Radical MP, and which is why I like it. You feel really connected to the ball. Compared to the Radical MP 1619, as I said, that this is not a big change. It's just like extra strings, increases the swing weight a little bit on average. But I still felt the need to add weight, because with the 1820 dance pattern, you're not going to get a lot of free power. It's quite demanding to use, low power, quite low launch. So there's not like a huge spin potential for spin players, but on the plus side, there's control. You can swing it pretty fast, and you get a lot of confidence playing with this Radical 1820. It's a pretty versatile racket for an 1820. It's not as controlled or low powered as a Prestige. Bit more modern, so I think the best comparison is a Solinco Whiteout 1820, the Blade 98 1820, or maybe a Pure Strike 1820. Pure Strikes tend to be stiffer, firmer, more power. The Blade is similar in power level to this one, just a difference in feel, you know. And sometimes you have like brand preference, so you're a Head player, then this would be better. You're a Wilson player, then that would be better, obviously. The Solinco Whiteout feels like a little bit more dampened, muted in feel than this one. I think this is maybe the most crisp, raw feel. We'll see what happens in Oxetic 2, but this Oxetic 1 version I feel quite connected to. So the Whiteout, a little bit more dampening, still a good racket. Similar power level, I would say. Pure Strike, more power, higher stiffness. The Blade, a little bit more muted in feel, but also very similar in power. So these 1820 98s that are not going towards the Prestige Pro, which is more low powered, they're pretty much similar in power range. So if you like one of those and you want to try a Head racket, maybe this is the one to go for. Sadly, as I pointed out, it's only available from Tennis Point, but you can get the 1619 probably soon as a discounted price, so check that out. Tennis Warehouse Europe, use TNerd10 for 10% off, or tennis only. Those are my buddies. But overall, a good racket. I like it. I felt the need to add weight at 10 and 2, I think was the best. I tried 12, I tried 10 and 2, 3 and 9. That's a little bit up to your preference. A little bit of weight in the handle, maybe a leather grip if you're into that, and 10 and 2 positions, 2 grams on 10, 2, and I think you're pretty much good to go. It's a good stick. It's not easy to use, but it's if you're kind of in between, like I don't want to leave the control territory, but I want a bit more than I get from my prestige, for example, which is quite low powered, then this is a good option. But I still feel like I play a bit better with the 1619, and the launch angle on that one is not that crazy high, so it's not like I'm not getting control from that one. So I feel like this is a little bit not necessary, because it's not giving you crazy amount of more control, and it's just a little bit less spin launch than the 1619. So overall, I think I would prefer the 1619, but if you're an 1820 player, this might be it for you.
I think these kind of hybrid patterns are a bit more suitable. I would say 1620, 1819, that you get some more spin and still good directional control, instead of going all this 1820, which is really, really dense and quite demanding to use. But if you're an 1820 guy or girl, this is a good racket, and it remains very, very much similar to the Radical MP, but obviously with a bit more control, lower launch angle. So that's the verdict. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.